could never imagine us, first of all, being this age. Now, how many years is it since we met?
55.
Holy
We met in 1970
yeah,
because that's the year we came to the board.
yeah, that's right.
And you were in the same office.
Yeah, that was I started the year before.
Yeah,
Life's been good for us.
absolutely. And a terrific career. Absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about when you were first diagnosed with cancer and
Well, when I was first diagnosed,
how long ago was that?
I would say that's about 4 years ago. And it was stage 3 colon cancer.
Okay.
And I had surgery,
Mm-hmm.
and no further treatment was designated at that time. Research showed that it wouldn't benefit particularly. So that was it. And I was quite disconcerted at the beginning about having a diagnosis of colon cancer because for my whole life, since I was about 9 years old, I've had severe asthma and then a COPD for the last 20 years, which I've rigorously managed to keep my lungs clear and functioning the best way. And I could not believe that some other organ in my body was letting me down. It was a huge surprise. And I did well. I had a good year. And then the colon cancer reoccurred. And then it became designated as stage 4.
And that was last year.
And that's, yeah, last year, about a year ago now. And I did have chemotherapy. I had about 8 sessions of chemotherapy. And certainly it prevented it from growing, but it didn't diminish the tumor. And so it was decided to discontinue the chemotherapy because one of the things that they think about, as well as how much benefits you're getting, is how well you're tolerating it. And I had found it really kind of difficult to tolerate. And so when this idea to discontinue was put forth, that was good news to me. I was ready to discontinue that and try and get feeling well again because I was not feeling as well as I had felt before. And so I've been moving ahead since then. Now, presently, I'm certainly on palliative care, being well supported through the cancer center. I know for sure my tumor is growing because I can feel it. And so the premise of palliative care is not aiming for a cure. It's managing symptoms to give you the best life that you can have right now. And that's what we're doing. So it means a lot of compromise around diet. It means taking a lot of meds and just going along day by day, well aware of what the outcome is going to be because I'm not going to get better. And so living the life I'm living right now within that framework is what I'm doing. So here I am.
Do you think that this at this point this has been worth it what they've done?
Oh, I think my treatment was worth it, yes. Because certainly when my very first diagnosis came out, I've heard them say 4 to 6 months.
Wow.
And here I am, 3 years later, and certainly still living life. So, and managing symptoms pretty successfully. So yeah, I think I'm doing well.
You have such grace and dignity in all of this. You do, Marilyn, and I that's why I wanted to talk to you because so many people, they give up. They don't want to go through anything. What can you say to what experiences of your life have prepared you for this journey?
Well, I don't think I've ever thought that it was going to be an easy ride because even within my career, managing around the constraints of that asthma.
Yeah.
Set me up for managing disease. And I think if you've been a robust, healthy person your whole life, the concept of managing a disease isn't on your horizon at all. You never imagine that there'll be days when you have to do things differently or remember your meds or all that kind of thing. So maybe that set me up for managing this.
I think that's a really interesting thing because one of the things that I've done now as I've gone through my journey of healing is I stopped looking to get rid of the symptoms and thought more about what can I learn from this experience? What's my body trying to teach me? And in a sense, when you talk about going through your lifetime with asthma and health challenges, you've earned those lessons, haven't you?
Well, I think so. And I've been chair of our local COPD support group for the last, I did a 10-year stint as chair. And one of the things we used to find is when people are newly diagnosed and it's their first breath rush with any kind of disease or disability, it's kind of overwhelming for them. They just can't imagine this. And sometimes I would think, well, I can deal with this for so long. It's part of me.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes a new learning that people have to come to. And I think I also grew up in an environment where you were expected to get things done, like to do what you wanted. No one was there sort of breaking your fall or taking care of you or intervening. And so I think that sort of sets you up for a little bit of resilience too.
Yeah. Because it really is resilience, isn't it? That in the long run, that's kind of the one quality that gets us through these things. Like, I'm sure there were lots of days when you wanted to just say.
Well, and that there well may be days now when I want to say. On the other hand, you sort of are committed into giving this the best run I can. I have to think about my children, making this as good as possible for them because this impacts their lives hugely, and also my grandchildren. My passing is going to be an important event in their lives, and I want to make it as good as possible for everybody. So in some of my planning, that's sort of what I think about.
That's interesting because in some place in my book, I write about how, death was part of life when I was a child. Yeah, it was my grandfather who was died, of course. And I always remember I was 9 years of age, November, snowstorm, 8:00 in the morning, and I heard the noise. And my mother ran to his room, and I shall always remember standing at the door, and she was bent over. And it was part of our lives.
Yes, of course.
Nowadays, we shield kids from so many things. And again, I come back to that point about learning our lessons from experiences.
Yeah, we do try to shield children. I would like nothing more than to shield my own children from all this, but we can't. And so we're in it together. And so we've had lots of conversations. And in those conversations, we talk about a lot of things that are important to me, but also making sure that the grandchildren are cared for. And they all three of my children are very intuitive and caring.
How old are your grandchildren?
My youngest grandchild is 7, and my oldest is 13. And so their parents are very aware of what's happening here, and also how to make that good for them as well. Because to see it as a totally negative thing is not accurate. It's about me, either Granny, and so I think we're sort of all in this journey together. And I really do see it as a journey, the last journey of your life.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all doing.
It seems to me that again, what you're giving to those children is that life lesson. And again, I tell this story in my book, but when my father was in his last days here at Market Hospital and what they call continuous care there, I got a call one night and they said, "You better come. We don't think keep us here." So I came, and as it turned out, he rallied and stuff, but I stayed with him. And he had had surgery a week before that. And the doctor had come out and told me that he had died on the operating table. And then he rallied back. So he and I were sitting there, and he began to tell me about that experience.
Oh, what a gift.
Oh, and when I face that myself,
Yes.
that will stay with me. It was so beautiful. His mother died in 1918 when he was overseas in the First World War as a 17-year-old boy. And she was only 42. She had cancer and she died. And what he saw was his mother coming.
Yes.
And it wasn't lugubrious. It wasn't sad. The doctor told me they were all laughing in the operating room because they thought he was gone, and suddenly he opened his eyes and he said, "Oh, shit." And he said, I didn't tell him, the doctor told me the story. He said, "I thought, isn't this wonderful?" And then there I was back in that damn operating room. So I loved that, and
That's such a good story.
yeah, but I think that the dignity and the grace with which you faced your illness,
Yeah. Well,
yes, your change of life that is.
Yeah. but of course, being realistic, we have good days and bad days.
Oh yeah.
We have ups and downs. And also, never to omit acknowledging the supports I have in place. I have those children, those grandchildren. I have my sister Mary Lou, who's with me here and has been for several weeks. And
I think several months.
well, several months, you're absolutely right. And without whom I would not be here with this level of good health. And I do know that absolutely for sure. So, and also all the professional support I've had through the Cancer Center and counseling, just caring medical professionals dealing with me. And always I've had a sense that they've listened to me and what I wanted. And that's been really important to me because I really need to be heard.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, one of the things again that I've been thinking a lot about is how we can help people to be motivated to take back their power and to have some control over how they age and over their health, because the healthcare system by and large just takes over. But you have not let that happen.
Well, I've managed to work around her. I think key to the issue is the more information you have about the disease you're dealing with, about yourself,
Yeah.
the more you can ask good questions.
Yeah.
And also keep asking the good questions till you get the answers that you want to know about. Now, I know there are some people who want to know much less about their disease, and that's not on their horizon to be finding out a lot of information. I know now that I'm the kind of person who needs all the information I can find. And then I need the professional people to help me make decisions about where we go from there. But I need to be armed with all that information or ask them for it so that we can make good decisions that are appropriate
And that you can then have a say in the decision.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you don't know what you're dealing with,
No.
you can't have you have no power.
That's right. For instance, when we terminated the chemotherapies, I was ready to terminate it. I had told her that I wanted to, my oncologist, that I was feeling so unwell from session to session, that I really wasn't ever having very good days. And she heard that that was important. I had expressed to her in our first interview that certainly quality of life was really important for me going forward. And she referenced that, which made me feel really good because she heard me at. So so we were in it together from that point of view.
What I find so heartening from our conversations, we hear so much negative stuff about our health care, and they're so overburdened, and nobody has to. And your story reminds us, I think, the sacrifice that those people make under not always very good circumstance, but they're dedicated, they're caring.
Absolutely. Yeah. But also it behooves us, and you matter to them, and you feel that's right. But it also behooves us to be good patients, yes. Ask the questions, get the information, and then if there's a treatment plan, follow it. Do the medications, do it what your part of it is, if that's what your expectation is. And give the feedback that they need so that going forward you have good information. Because I really do see it as a partnership. Yeah.
Well, again, I talk in my book about becoming a partner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I thought when I read your book, that really resonated with me because it's so important. Even from when I was quite young and managing my asthma, when do you take your puffers and when do you not? It's hard. And you don't go without them in your pocket, all that kind of thing that were so important.
Yeah. But I really think that's one of the most important lessons of all of this conversation is that business of learning. And not sort of waiting till we're at the end of the journey, but throughout the journey, what are the experiences that we have that make us, first of all, the person we are, that will have the resilience and the optimism and those kind of qualities, but also then the courage to take on what we need to do to help ourselves.
Well, the courage is a hard piece sometimes. And I guess I see courage as often coming from the people around us because I don't think any of us are gifted with enormous amounts of courage from the get-go. But you certainly find that in the people that you're with, in the family members, even good friends. I have so many of my bridge buds come by here, and they just pop in for a little visit. And I think every one of them is giving me a little bit more courage and a little bit more perspective on managing how I'm doing.
You're answering a question that I had written down is can you talk about what it is you need from the people around you? And you've been answering that through this conversation. The people around you are important. And I think that's, again, a lesson for the support system.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's so many times people are afraid, I can't go, maybe she might like her. Yeah,
Well, I think one of the things that makes it work for my friends is Mary Lou is very good at communicating with my friends, about whether it's a good day or not yet. And also, I'm somebody who's always had to sort of rise up and put on the happy face.
Yeah.
And I don't need to anymore. If I'm too tired to talk to somebody, I simply say, you know what, can you come another day? Go, no, could you come back another day and I'll feel better? Or oftentimes if someone's here, I'm feeling tired, I just say, let's keep talking and I'll rest on the couch. And that's all fine, so but the importance of people is just so. And when my grandkids come, we have good conversations, and yet they understand I'm resting on the couch, and that's part of that I'm sick. Yeah. And so I think that all sets the context for what's happening right now, but also for what's ahead.
Don't you think, though, that so much of what we have come as a society, how we've come to treat illness and death, and sickness, it's just so raw. You know, and you when you talk about, like, people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to be around people who are sick.
Yeah. It's true. Absolutely. When I think about my personal experience, the people I've interacted with have almost unfailingly been stellar people with my best interests at heart. What's let me down is the facilities, like at our own hospital here. It's very overcrowded.
Yeah.
Wait times are very long, which is tiring if you're somebody who's already sick, and you wouldn't be there if you weren't. And certainly I remember the last time I came out of hospital, I was still very, very ill when I came home. Now, so fortunately, Mary Lou is here. She've come, and she was here to get me home and get me settled here. And I just started feeling so much stronger being at home in my own routines, surrounded by my own things, my own surroundings. And I just know that made all the difference, because I could feel myself losing ground in the hospital. And so to get people back now, that implies support.
Yes.
Because I couldn't be here by myself now without some support to assist me, without a family member or somebody. But it's the best place for me to be, and it's where I'm really doing very well.
Well, you've had an amazing summer.
Yes, I had. It's been a gift.
And I guess what astounds me is, for all of these meds you're having to take and all of the trauma your body has been through, that your mind is so clear. Do you have any sense of why, like, I know that gift comes from?
I don't have any sense of that. But what I do have a sense of is when I'm with a new medical personnel, a new doctor, a new nurse, or new social worker, they're assessing me. And I always feel a need to rise up and be particularly bright.
Yeah, you don't want them to think you're a dummy.
Well, no, I don't want them to think I'm losing it, because then they start to see you differently.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm out of state alert.
We're very blessed, aren't we?
Well, we are.
I will be 87 next week. Imagine that. I never even knew anybody that old. Well, now you're a little bit younger than me. You're still a baby.
I knew one person more than Medicine. That was my great-grandmother. So,
well, I didn't.
So that's that's a gift, Susanne, that you need to be grateful.
I am. And I think when I can still do all these things, and look at all some days I can't walk, but I can write.
You're right. You can.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to tire you, and I know.
Oh, I'm fine.
Are you? Are you sure?
Yeah.
I was going to say, is there anything that you would want to say to other people starting out on this journey of?
Well, I guess the one thing I want to say, it's taking longer than I thought. Because initially, I felt I needed to get all these arrangements made and all these things taken care of, which I did, thinking that I didn't have very much time. Well, now it seems like I have long time. And I'm less conscious of the passing of time than I was initially. and I'm less anxious about things than I was initially. As we move ahead, the inevitability of my ending is it's just there. It is there. And really, it's there for everybody. It's there for all of us. That's right. Now, I've done a lot of genealogy within my family. And that's also a perspective. I see the grandmothers, the great-grandmothers, the great-great-grandmothers, and they've all passed. They've lived their lives, and they've passed. And I had an incredibly privileged life in many, many ways. A career that I adored, and you were very good at. A gift of family, which is wonderful, and good friends. So from that point of view, I'm just one more person in that lineage who's moving along in her journey, living the context of the life of the times, which I'm in right now.
Again, I guess what that makes me think about is we seem to find it hard to let things unfold as they ought. Well, in this society, everybody wants everything now and today, and I don't want to have to wait, and especially young people. I mean, when a good example for me that a friend who was visiting me on Sunday was talking about her young daughter-in-law who needed brand new furniture right off the bat. Well, I'm sure you and Jerry were the same as Wilk and I, where we got all the hand-me-downs and we refinished and we recovered and we put up with it until we could afford.
Absolutely.
But the whole of our society has gone now into this fast forward. And yet the body will do what the body's going to do. And it doesn't operate on command.
Well, and that's about the issue of control, isn't it? Yes, that's power and control. And for sure, the one thing I've learned over the last few months is to let go of some of the need for that power and that control. And I don't know what I'm going to pass. I can't manage every single thing in my life, which is the power and control. But I need to learn to let go of the things I can't manage and defer them to somebody else or let them go.
Well, I don't want to tire you, so I want to ask, is there anything else you want to say?
I don't think so, Susanne. I was worried about chatting with you about this. But of course, it's so easy to chat with you.
Oh, well.
And no, I've enjoyed talking with you, really. And you know what? I'm just on my journey.
Thank you so much, Marilyn.
You're welcome. My pleasure.